It's soup season and I'm making a 15 bean soup in the slow cooker alongside a delicious cornbread pudding. This is gonna be good. Here we go. I'm starting off with 1 stick of celery and I'm just gonna give it a rough chop and set that aside. I'm also going to dice half of this onion. Here I have a 20-ounce bag of 15 bean soup and I'm going to pour this out into a pot. And it does come with spices or a seasoning mix. You can use that if you like. I'm going to discard it or just save it for later use. And you'll want to pick through the beans for stones and just make sure they're clean. Give them a rinse. I'm going to do a quick soak, so you're going to fill the pot around 2 to 3 inches over the beans, cover with a lid, and I'm going to turn on the heat. And you'll want to bring this up to a boil. Let it boil for about 5 to 10 minutes. Now I'm going to turn the heat off and let them soak minimum 1 hour. Maybe 1 or 2 hours for best results, or you can pre-soak overnight. I just didn't do that. Okay, so you'll want to discard the boiling liquid and drain them just like this. So let's go over the ingredients. I'm using 1 stick of celery, half of an onion, 1 bay leaf, and 2 cloves of garlic that I minced. Sometimes I like to add a carrot into the mix, but not today. Here I have 2 ham bones that I saved for my holiday meal last week. And this is why I'm making this today, because I have that. I'll be using 5 to 6 cups of chicken broth, or you can use 5 to 6 cups of water. Now I'm going to add this to a 6-quart slow cooker or crock pot. I'm going to place both ham bones. If you have 1, that also works, but I made 2 hams this year. So I have 2 ham bones, and that is going in. And if you didn't save the ham bone from your holiday ham, you can just use ham or bacon into the mix. Now for the onion, celery, garlic, and bay leaf, and for the chicken broth. And like I said, you can sub with water. And if you don't pre-soak your beans, look, I'm not judging if you don't pre-soak your beans, but you're probably going to need like 7 to 8 cups of liquid if you don't pre-soak the beans and you put them in the slow cooker. So I'm going to cover with a lid, set it to high, and cook for 5 hours. And you'll notice I didn't add salt. So if you want to add salt or tomatoes into the mix, I suggest doing that in the last 30 minutes of cook time because it'll take the beans longer to get tender if you do it now. So let's work on the cornbread pudding. I'm going to add 2/3 cup of self-rising corn mix or cornmeal mix. This is the bag. Here I'm going to add 1/3 cup of all-purpose flour. You also could use a box of Jiffy cornbread mix. Here I'm going to add like a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Now just give that a mix. And the next ingredient I'm going to add is sugar. That is up to whether you want it sweet or more savory. I'm probably going to scoop in about 3 tablespoons of sugar when this is all said and done. Some people like it sweeter, maybe a 1/4 cup, or you could just do 1 tablespoon of sugar. It's up to you. Okay, mixed. Now I'm going to add a 14-ounce can. This is a 14.75-ounce can of cream-style corn. That goes in. Here I'm going to add an 8-ounce container of sour cream. If you don't have sour cream, you can sub this with buttermilk. Now I'm going to add 2 large eggs into the bowl. And you'll want to give this a really good mix. This recipe is versatile if you want to add extra ingredients like I'm going to do now. I'm adding 4 ounces of shredded sharp cheese and 1 large jalapeno chopped to make this a cheddar jalapeno cornbread pudding. It's really my favorite and it goes great when you make 15 bean soup. Okay, that goes in, and I'm just going to continue mixing and combining this well. In the meantime, you'll want to make sure you're preheating your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, if I were making a cornbread, I'd probably bake the cornbread at like 400 or 425, but this has extra ingredients, so if you bake it at a high temperature, the outside will burn before the inside cooks. So you want to use 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so I'm going to be putting this into a buttered cast iron skillet. A 9-inch baking dish also works, buttered. I took 2 tablespoons, by the way, of butter and smeared it on the cast iron skillet and just pour the mixture in. And I'm going to bake this at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 40 to 45 minutes, or until the center is cooked through. So the cold fronts keep coming through and the weather is colder, which officially makes it soup season in my opinion. And I will be making lots of soups. Comment down below if there are other dishes that you would like to see me make in this colder weather, because honestly, baking soups or just hearty meals are a great way to stay warm. So this is going in the oven and the beans are almost done. So I have about 30 more minutes of cook time, but this is the point where you'll want to give it a mix, check the ham bone, and also add your salt. If you are going to add fresh tomato, then maybe add it the last hour of cook time. If you're using canned tomato, you can add it here. But I do not add tomatoes to my Hambeen soup or my 15 bean soup recipe, but you definitely can. Some people also like to season with chili powder. And you'll notice the meat is falling right off the bones of this ham bone. Everything is tender. And ham is really salted, so I tasted it. I don't even need to add salt with this recipe, but seasoning and salt are to your personal preference, so give it a taste and adjust to your taste buds. Okay, that's going out, and look at this. The meat is sliding off the bone. It's so ready. I'm going to cover this up and let it go for another 30 minutes. I want them creamier, and I added cracked black pepper into the mix. Okay, so the cornbread pudding should be done. I'm going to remove that from the oven, and dinner is almost ready. You can let this cool for about 5 to 10 minutes, or you can dig in. It's ready, but it'll definitely be hot. So I'm going to serve a bowl, and this dinner came together so easily. Now, was it quick? No. If you make this on the stovetop, then you'll definitely cut the cook time by half, if not by a little more. But this came out perfect in my slow cooker, which I love to use in my kitchen. I'm going to add a couple of ladlefuls to my bowl with some of that ham, which is salty and smoky, which is another reason why I really didn't need to add salt. I had 2 ham bones there. Here I'm going to scoop a piece of this delicious cheesy jalapeno cornbread pudding. I love the edges because they get golden brown and crusty, and the center is just tender and moist and delicious. Right on top of my beans, and dinner is served. And I want to show you how I store this. So you can store it all in a container, let it cool, then place it in the fridge. But I'm going to show you how I like to individually freeze these in these little soup cube containers. This one is a larger container. There are some soup cube containers that are like smaller portions, but you cover it with the lid, let it cool, and you pop it into the freezer. And when you're ready to use them, you take it out of the mold, put it in a bowl, reheat it, and you've got soup. It's so easy and a great way to portion out your leftovers. I hope you give this recipe a try. I hope you like it, and thanks for watching.